So कल हम लोगों ने क्या किया था? We were doing the Rutherford's model. I just gave you a slight idea, although I told you it has been abolished from your syllabus. But just for continuity, we had done the Rutherford's model and its failure. Now, one of a good achievement of Rutherford's model was that he gave us a slight idea of the number of electrons and protons which are present in any atom, right? But the first scientist who gave us certain idea about the atomic number was Moseley. Now Moseley, what he did was he was trying to see that how many unit positive charges they were present inside any you can say in any atom. So in order to do so, he did certain X-ray experimentations and he was studying different kind of materials on by bombarding or by the X-ray diffraction pattern, और उसके accordingly what he did was that he gave us the amount of positive charges or the number of positive charges which were present inside the atom. Now these number of positive charges, they restricted themselves to the nucleus. ठीक है, और ये जो positive charges थे, they were known as the protons. Okay, then differently it was suggested that जो protons हैं, they are going to be a part of the atom, but they were concentrated more in the center of the atom, and that center of the atom, that was known as nucleus, right? As and when there was more and more experimentation done, it was said that the atomic number, because the atomic number, that will be equal to what? That will be equal to the unit positive charges which are present. So according to Moseley, the atomic number that was equal to the number of protons present. Okay? So they were equal to what? They were equal to the number of protons present. Now electrically, any atom that is going to be neutral. So if any atom that is going to be neutral, number of protons should be equal to the number of electrons. तो उसकी वजह से atomic number may also be equal to number of electrons present in any atom, but this was only true if in case the atom was neutral. Right? If the number of protons were more, if the number of protons were more, the atom was no longer neutral, but the atom that was positively charged, which meant that उसपे से there are certain electrons which have been removed, right? From the atom there are certain electrons जो कि remove करे गए हैं, जिसकी वजह से number of protons, they were exceeding the number of electrons, and hence the atom that was a positively charged ion. On the contrary, अगर number of protons are more, sorry, number of electrons are more, not protons. यहाँ आप करो, number of protons are less. Now if the number of protons were less, then the negative charges, they were exceeding. तो इसका मतलब the atom is a negatively charged ion, right? So this is how the atomic mass, the concept of atomic mass, that was put forward. So atomic mass क्या हो गया? Atomic mass we denoted by Z, right? And the atomic mass Z, that is equal to nuclear charge or number of protons or number of electrons in a neutral atom. right? Now when these experimentation was being carried out and when the mass of atoms that was calculated, it was seen that the mass of atom that was much more than the mass of the protons which were present. Now basically the mass of the electrons, that is almost negligible, 9.11 into 10 raised to power minus 31, and the mass of the proton जो कि हमने कल किया था, that is 1.67 into 10 raised to power minus 27 kg, है ना? तो उसमें क्या होगा कि क्योंकि मास ऑफ द इलेक्ट्रॉन जो है वो निग्लिजिबल है, तो एक एटम का टोटल मास दैट विल बी इक्वल टू व्हाट, दैट विल बी इक्वल टू द नंबर ऑफ प्रोटॉन्स व्हिच इज प्रेजेंट और द मास ऑफ द प्रोटॉन्स व्हिच इज प्रेजेंट, ठीक है? नाउ द फर्स्ट एक्सपेरिमेंटेशन दैट वाज डन बाय द एटम ऑफ हीलियम. नाउ वी नो दैट द नंबर ऑफ protons which are present in helium, they are equal to 2, right? So because the number of protons are equal to 2 and number of electrons also equal to 2, but जो electrons होते हैं they do not contribute to the mass of the atom, therefore the mass of helium atom should be twice the mass of hydrogen atom, ठीक है? But it was seen that experimentally it was found out that the mass of helium was 4 times the mass of hydrogen atom, ठीक है? In a similar manner, when the mass of carbon that was calculated, now the number of protons which are present in carbon, that is equal to 6, ठीक है? So the mass of carbon should be 6 times the mass of hydrogen atom, but it was experimentally found out that the mass of carbon that was 12 times heavier than the mass of hydrogen, ठीक है? Now it was suggested that as you know the masses, they were not compatible with the calculated masses, it was pointed out that there should be some other subatomic particle which should be present. अभी तक सिर्फ 2 subatomic particles जो थे वो डिस्कवर करे गए थे, one was the electron and one was the proton, but क्योंकि मास जो है वो एटम का heavier आ रहा था than the mass of the proton, so it was suggested that there should be some other particle present inside the atom which should have mass equal to that of the proton, ठीक है? And this was experimented by James Chadwick in the year 1932, ठीक है? Now what did he do? He took a sheet of beryllium, right? और उस beryllium element को उसने bombard किया, in 1932 उसने bombard किया with very highly penetrating rays. अब जब उसको highly penetrating rays के साथ bombard किया, he saw that there were certain rays which were emitting and which was having no charge, or in other words we can say that they were neutral. तो क्योंकि वो neutral थे, तो the idea came was that there must be certain neutral particles which are present inside the atom which are having weight or mass similar to that of proton. They must be present inside the atom, और उसको क्या बुलाया गया? That was known as neutron, ठीक है? Now this neutron is a subatomic particle which has no charge but has weight equal to that of proton, ठीक है? It has no charge but it has weight equal to that of a proton. That is what a neutron was. Now we have 3 subatomic particles. The first one, which is electron, having a weight of 9.11 into 10 raised to power minus 31. The second one was proton having a weight of 1.67 into 10 raised to power minus 27. And the third one was neutron, again which was having the weight of 1.6 or the mass of 1.67 into 10 raised to power minus 27 kg. So there are three subatomic particles which were now to be arranged in an atom. Okay? So that we will do later, but by giving these two things, that is the number of protons present, the number of electrons present and the number of neutrons present, the concept of mass number that became very, very clear. So when we doing the mass number, first of all again let's resume with atomic number. Atomic number क्या हो गया? Atomic number that is going to be equal to the number of protons denoted by Z, number of protons or number of electrons present. ठीक है, फिर उसके बाद हमारे पास आ जाता है mass number. मास नंबर जिसको हम लोग रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं बाय ए, दिस इज इक्वल टू नंबर ऑफ प्रोटॉन्स प्लस नंबर ऑफ न्यूट्रॉन्स. ठीक है, नाउ प्रोटॉन्स एंड न्यूट्रॉन्स दे आर collectively known as nucleons, right? As they both are constituents of the nucleus, they are present in the nucleus, so they are collectively known as nucleons. Now over here, if we need to find the number of neutrons, then how do we find number of neutrons? That is going to be equal to atomic mass minus atomic number. That is going to give us the number of neutrons. For example, if we are taking carbon, now whenever we are representing any element, we always are going to put the atomic number at the foot and atomic mass at the head. ठीक है, so we are representing carbon over here. Carbon has an atomic number of 6 and atomic mass of 12. This is how we can represent. ठीक है, और अगर हम लोग represent कर रहे हैं क्लोरीन, क्लोरीन has a mass of 35.5 and an atomic number of 17. So we can represent chlorine, sorry, उल्टा लिख दिया. We can represent chlorine as 35.5 and 17. ठीक है, so this is how we generally represent. Now when we talking of the number of neutrons which we want to calculate, if we want to calculate the number of neutrons over here, that is going to be 12 minus 6 is equal to 6. ठीक है, और यहाँ पे क्योंकि हम यहाँ पे एवरेज एटॉमिक मास ले रहे हैं, we will just understand what is the average atomic mass. Let's say that this is chlorine 35 which we are taking over here. So over here the number of neutrons will be equal to 35 minus 17 which is equal to 18. ठीक है, so this is how you can calculate the number of neutrons which may be present. Depending upon the three subatomic particles which we have done, that is the electrons, the protons and the neutrons, the concept of isotopes was put forward. Now what are isotopes? Isotopes, they are atoms of same element having different atomic number, different atomic mass, but same atomic number, right? Like for example, we are taking the isotopes of hydrogen. Hydrogen has 3 isotopes: protium, deuterium and tritium. ठीक है, in case of protium there is 0 neutron which is going to be present. ठीक है, so यहाँ पे this is the only element in the entire periodic table which is going to have 0 neutron. right? The second one that is going to have 2 minus 1, 1, and the third one that is going to have 3 minus 1, 2 neutrons, right? So over here the atomic number is same, the mass number is different, and also the number of neutrons in all the three cases, that is going to be different. Okay? Another example which we can take over here is C14 and C12. Okay, अब यहाँ पे these both they are isotopes of carbon. In one the atomic mass that is 14 and in the other the atomic mass that is going to be 12. But in both the cases the atomic number is same, which is 6. Now if we calculate the number of neutrons, in case of C14 the number of neutrons that is going to be 14 minus 6, 8, और यहाँ पे 12 minus 6, 6. So the number of neutrons also in both the cases they are different. In fact C14 that has vital importance because this is a radioactive carbon. ठीक है, radioactive carbon है ये, और इससे हम लोग generally life of fossils, because this is radioactive, it keeps disintegrating. So this carbon that is a major constituent of all the living things. Because it is present in all, it's going to be present in hydrocarbons, it is present in carbohydrates, it's present in fats, it is present in proteins. So it's a major constituent of all living things. Once any living thing dies, उसके बाद उसको मर के कितना टाइम हो गया है, that can be calculated by the disintegration of C14. So this is a very very important isotope. उसी तरह से oxygen also has 3 stable isotopes. One is O16, O17 and O18, ठीक है? So all of them they are going to have the same atomic number of 8. Then the next concept which was put forward was the concept of isobars. ठीक है? अब isobars क्या होते हैं? Isobars they are atoms of different elements. Atoms of different elements having same atomic mass but different atomic number. ठीक है? So it's having the same atomic mass but it is going to have different atomic number. Like for example, we can take potassium, calcium and argon. All of them they approximately have the same atomic mass of 14. But in case of potassium, the atomic number is 19. In case of calcium, the atomic number is 20. And in case of argon, the atomic number that is 18. Right? So these are going to be isobars. Now isobars, they are going to have different number of electrons, different number of protons and different number of neutrons. Okay? Then the third type which we have, they are isotones. What are isotones? Isotones are atoms of different elements having same number of neutrons. Having same number of neutrons. For example, if you are taking sulfur, phosphorus and silicon, the atomic mass of sulfur is 32, its atomic number that is going to be 16. The atomic mass of phosphorus is 31 and it has an atomic number of 15, and the mass of silicon is 30 and its atomic number that is going to be 14. So if we calculating the number of neutrons, यहाँ पे 32 minus 16. So number of neutrons that is going to be 16. In a similar manner, 31 minus 15, 16. 30 minus 14, that is also 16. ठीक है. So these are what isotopes, isobars and isotones are. Apart from that, we have another thing which is known as the isoelectronic species. Isoelectronic species. Isoelectronic species कौन से हुए? Those species, they may be atoms or they may be ions. ठीक है. So all those species which have same number of electrons, they are known as the isoelectronic species. ठीक है. जैसे for example, we have Na positive, Mg2 positive, Al3 positive, F negative, N3 negative, O2 negative, right? All of these you will see they are going to have 10 electrons. You know that the atomic number of sodium, that is 11. So it has 11 electrons, 11 minus 1 because of the positive charge. This is going to have 10 electrons. Atomic number of magnesium is 12. 12 minus 2, 10 electrons. Aluminium, 13. 13 minus 3, 10 electrons. Fluorine, 9. 9 plus 1, 10. 7 plus 3, 10. And oxygen also, 8 plus 2, that is going to be 10. So all of these, they have 10 electrons, therefore these are said to be what? They are known as isoelectronic species. Later on you will see कि ये जो isoelectronic species होते हैं, they have a lot of properties which are trending. For example, if we are talking of size, atomic size, we will talk of it in our next chapter. So atomic size की अगर हम लोग बात करते हैं तो isoelectronic species which are having more positive charge, they are going to have smaller size, and those which are having more negative charge, they are going to have larger size. ठीक है. So isoelectronic species, they may have similarities in certain properties, or they may also show a general gradation in certain properties, right? So this you have to remember because this is in continuation with your next chapter, right? So this is what we have, the isoelectronic atoms and ions, or the isoelectronic species. Now once Rutherford's model that failed, okay, तो उसके बाद the next model which came up, that was the Bohr's model. जो बोहर का मॉडल था, there were two important aspects which led to the Bohr's model, right? The first one was dual behavior of the electromagnetic radiation, right? Because Rutherford was not able to give the stability of any atom. He could not explain the stability of the atom, even though he gave us the alpha scattering experiment and he told us about the electrons, protons. He gave us such certain idea of the atomic number. Okay? Now over here there were two things which led to the Bohr's model of an atom. The first one was the dual nature of matter. Dual nature of matter means that the matter is going to not only behave as a particle, but it can also behave as a radiation, or it may also have a light characteristic or a wave characteristic. So this was Rutherford was not able to explain this, and the second one was the spectra of hydrogen, right? So that was a very, very important achievement of Bohr. Now before going directly to the Bohr's model, let's understand what do we mean by the nature of light or the electromagnetic radiations. Also, we are not going to do it in detail because this has been removed from your syllabus in 2018, but still I will give you a slight idea. So what we are doing is nature of light and electromagnetic radiation. Nature of light and electromagnetic radiation. Now when we are talking of nature of light and electromagnetic radiation, over here first of all we need to remember that initially when we were talking of light in the early times, so there was a scientist by the name of Newton. he regarded light as made up of very, very small particles which were commonly known as corpuscles. Okay, so this is one word which you have heard before, corpuscles. So these corpuscles of light, that explained to us the particle nature of light, right? But most commonly light was taken as a wave. Why? Because light could explain certain properties of wave, for example, dispersion of light, scattering of light, reflection of light, refraction of light. So these were certain properties of light which could only be explained by taking light as a wave. So most of the properties, they were explained by taking light as a wave. And whenever we are talking of every wave, you know that wave that has a tendency to move. It is continuously on the move, and this tendency of any wave to move, that is known as what you have done it, or you will do it in physics, that is known as the wave motion. Okay? So what is wave motion? Wave motion is, you can explain it by if there's water lying still in a puddle or maybe a small pond, right? So if you throw a pebble in it, you will see ripples being formed. और वो जो ripples होते हैं, that is going to bring movement in water. You will see that the waves, they are going outwards and they are also coming inwards simultaneously. So that is known as wave motion. The movement of the particles or the movement of the wave due to certain disturbance, that is going to be known as the wave motion. ठीक है? So जब हम लोग wave motion करते हैं, we know that a wave that is going to go from a, you can say, an upward displacement, and then it comes back to the mean position, then the downward displacement. Let's take another example, like we've taken a standstill door और उसके bolt के साथ हमने एक रस्सी बांध दी है, right? We've tied a rope और उसको rope को you are giving it a push or you just giving it a movement. When you give a movement to this rope, you will see that this is the kind of wave which it is going to make. So this is the mean position, right? So this is the upward displacement and this is going to be the downward displacement. The upward displacement, that is known as the crest, and the downward displacement, that is known as the trough. So this is the crest and trough over here. When we are looking at characteristics of wave motion, any wave motion may be characterized by the following properties. The first one is wavelength. Now what is wavelength? Wavelength, that is denoted by lambda. Wavelength is going to be the distance between two crests or the distance between two troughs. Okay? So when we are talking of wavelength, we are saying that it is either the distance between two crests or distance between two troughs, right? Now over here, when we are talking of lambda, it is a distance. So when we are talking of a unit, the unit meter cannot be used. Why? Because this distance is going to be very, very small and meter is a very bigger unit. So we are going to use smaller units over here. For example, we can use nanometer. 1 nanometer, that is equal to 10 raised to power minus 9 meters, or we can use picometers, which is equal to 10 raised to power minus 12 meters, or we can use 1 Armstrong, which is equal to 10 raised to power minus 10 meters. Okay? So this is the first characteristics. The second characteristics, that is velocity. Now the velocity of light, that has a fixed value that can be denoted by c, and it has a constant value of 3 into 10 raised to power 8 meters per second, right? Even if you're talking of vacuum, in case of vacuum also there's not much of a difference. It is around 2.89 into 10 raised to power 8 meters per second, so it comes to almost same. The third one which we have, the third characteristics, that is going to be frequency. Now what is frequency? Frequency, that is going to be denoted by nu. Okay, and what is nu? Nu, that is number of cycles a wave takes in 1 second, right? And the unit of frequency, that is going to be equal to per second. We may also use larger units, for example hertz and kilohertz. Okay? The next, when we've spoken of all these three, let's take a relationship between wavelength, velocity and frequency. When we're taking a relationship between the three characteristics of wavelength, then the relationship is lambda is equal to C upon nu. This is going to be important. Okay? Then we come to the fourth characteristics, amplitude. Amplitude, that is denoted by A, that is going to be equal to either height of crest or depth of the trough. So again, because it is the distance only, it is going to have the same units as wavelength. Okay. Then the next one which we have, that is going to be wave number. Wave number. Wave number, that is represented by nu bar, and wave number, that is going to be the reciprocal of lambda. This is going to be one of the characteristics. Okay? Then there's another one which is not given in your books, but it might be given in the numericals, which is the time period. Now what is time period? Time period T, that is given as 1 upon frequency. Okay? That is going to be time period. So these are the characteristics of the waves. Then next we come to electromagnetic radiations. Electromagnetic radiations. What are electromagnetic radiations? Those radiations which are simultaneously subjected to the electric and the magnetic field, they are known as electromagnetic radiations. When we're looking at characteristics of electromagnetic radiations, as we've already said, one of them that it is simultaneously subjected to the electric and the magnetic fields. Number two, they propagate perpendicular to each other. Okay? So it means that the electric and the magnetic fields, they are going to be perpendicular to each other, and also the propagation of the wave, that is also going to be perpendicular to the electric and the magnetic fields. Second is that whenever we are talking of electromagnetic radiation, they have the same speed as the speed of light. Okay? And thirdly, they have a tendency even to, you can say, propagate through vacuum. Now all of the electromagnetic radiations, they are going to have different wavelengths and frequencies. So depending upon the different wavelengths and frequencies, the electromagnetic radiations, they are arranged in order of increasing wavelengths or decreasing frequencies. As you can see over here, that lambda, that is inversely proportional to nu. So as it is reciprocal, therefore the electromagnetic radiations, they may be arranged in order of increasing lambda or decreasing frequency, and this arrangement of electromagnetic radiations, that is known as the electromagnetic spectrum. So we just take a small idea of what is electromagnetic spectrum. Electromagnetic spectrum. Now, as I have already just said, that electromagnetic spectrum is the arrangement of electromagnetic radiations in order of increasing wavelengths or decreasing frequencies. So let's see what are these electromagnetic radiations which we have, और electromagnetic spectrum हमें किस तरह से नजर आता है. So we are arranging it in order of increasing wavelengths or decreasing frequencies. So let's increase the wavelength over here. This is lambda in meter and this is going to be frequency in per second. Okay? So we have over here 10 raised to power minus 18, 10 raised to power minus 14, 10 raised to power minus 10, 10 raised to power minus 6, 10 raised to power minus 2 and 10 raised to power 2. Okay? Similarly, frequencies also, decreasing frequencies, 10 raised to power 26, 10 raised to power 22, 10 raised to power 18, 10 raised to power 14, 10 raised to power 10 and 10 raised to power 6. Now the radiations which have the smallest wavelength, they are going to be known as the cosmic rays. Although there is a slight dispute over here now that cosmic rays, they are not electromagnetic radiations, they are the rays which are given out in the outer Earth's outer atmosphere or other universe rather than Earth. So they in some books they are taken as electromagnetic radiations, in certain books they are not even taken as electromagnetic radiations. But over here in your NCERT, cosmic rays, they have been taken as electromagnetic radiations. ठीक है? फिर उसके बाद 10 raised to power minus 14 पे जो आता है gamma rays, right? So according to the new concept, gamma rays, they are the electromagnetic radiations which have the shortest wavelength. ठीक है? फिर gamma rays के बाद हमारे पास आ गया X rays. X rays के बाद UV, UV के बाद visible, visible के बाद infrared, right? और फिर उसके बाद we come to 10 raised to power minus 2, which is going to be the microwaves. And 10 raised to power 2, which are the radio waves. The only waves which are visible to us, that is this region, the visible region, which has different colors ranging from all the colors of the rainbow. So we have over here VIBGYOR. Okay? Violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange and red. The violet radiations, they are going to have the shortest wavelength of approximately 400 nanometers, and the red one, they are going to have the highest wavelength of approximately 700 nanometers. This is what your electromagnetic spectrum is. Okay? So cosmic rays, they originated in the outer sphere, which I said, and they are continuously falling on the earth. So this is all what we are going to discuss today. We will do a few questions and then we go on to our next topic in our next lecture. Okay?